Is that
Just an extra.
Good evening. My name is Million Air Williams with the Jacksonville Onslow Chamber of Commerce, and I am the Vice President. On behalf of the Chamber's Governmental Affairs Committee, I want to thank you for joining us for today's Forum Onslow. The Governmental Affairs Committee works with government agencies on issues that affect our business community. We monitor legislative issues that impact local businesses. We promote partnerships between business, government, military, and education. And we facilitate these forums to create awareness on topics that are important to our entire community. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our corporate sponsor, Duke Energy Progress, our media sponsor, the Daily News, and the City of Jacksonville for use of their facilities, and the City of Jacksonville Media Services for broadcasting this very important forum. I would like to introduce Jason Harris, attorney at law with Welch and Harris. Jason is a Chamber Board member. He will provide information on the position of the Onslow County Sheriff. Jason.
Good evening. My name is Jason Harris. As Million mentioned, I'm a practicing attorney here in downtown Jacksonville, so I look forward to welcoming my next neighbor in the Sheriff's Department. The office of Sheriff is one of the oldest offices known to the common law of all of jurisprudence. Originally known as the Shire Reeve Sheriff, right? It was a position known in England over 1,000 years ago. The Shire Reeve was essentially the steward of the king's estate, the guardian of the peace, and served various legal roles in the Shire County, which is essentially the county courthouse. In 1736, everybody got that? 1736, the settlers in the colony of North Carolina had but one sheriff in all of the colony. So by 1738, I suppose with the idea that all politics are local, they derived what is now known as the modern-day sheriff position, far more local in nature than one sheriff or shire reeve per colony. The sheriff in North Carolina has been in office since the founding of our state. It is the single oldest elected position in all of North Carolina politics. It became so in the year 1829. In North Carolina, it's a constitutional office and predates even our North Carolina legislative statutes. Originally, it was a 2-year position, and now sheriffs serve for 4 years. Most citizens think of the sheriff as we perhaps know him or her best as the chief law enforcement officer in our county. Some folks will encounter the sheriff's office in advance of acquiring pistol permits and seeking a permit to carry a concealed firearm. However, the sheriff has many, many other duties that are perhaps less commonly known. They're responsible for, of course, operating the jail. Here in Onslow County, our relatively new jail. They maintain security in our courtrooms, which personally I'm very grateful for. It's a tremendously emotional place with a high-density public traffic area, so we're tremendously grateful for their service in the courthouse. They serve civil as well as criminal process, and that means if you're going to sue someone, they assist or can assist for a modest fee in service of process of the paperwork on the putative defendant. They serve various roles in the enforcement of civil judgments in addition to their criminal tasks, and help in civil collection proceedings and selling seized items. Of course, in Onslow County, they are a substantial employer, and they deal oftentimes with employment issues in that capacity. They work very closely with the clerk of court, who we heard from in our last forum session shortly ago. They work, of course, closely with many attorneys in Jacksonville and Onslow County, and, of course, they serve the public. I want to thank my neighbors, the sheriff, and our candidates tonight. I thank you both for being here, and I will now turn it over to Elliot Potter, who will be our moderator this evening. Many of you know Mr. Potter as the publisher and executive director of the Daily News here in Jacksonville. He's also a past chairman of the Onslow County Chamber. So, Elliot, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Candidates for Shariv, I guess I'm the moderator or something like that. I don't know how that works. But I welcome you to this forum, and I thank you for participating. Tonight we have Mr. Ed Brown and Mr. Hans Miller, and they are Republican candidates for the office of sheriff for the May primary. This race has obviously attracted a lot of attention. This might be the largest crowd we've had for one of these forums. And we've got quite a bit of participation tonight. And we are glad for that, because we want to make this an informative evening. We hope to have, and I think it can be exciting based on what I've seen over here. We can have an enjoyable evening, but I want to spend a few moments going over the rules so that we can make that happen. Again, we have had ways for the audience to participate, and they have taken advantage of those ways tonight. So we got a lot of questions that we can sort through. That's true for the live presentation. Obviously we may have trouble with getting anybody on that sees this event as it re-airs on G10. The people that are in the audience and the people at home can send their questions during the forum to G10 events at ci.jacksonville.nc.us. These addresses are are being shown on the screen, or they could tweet them to G10 events at G10 events. So there's a couple of ways that they can also, and what most people have done here already, is write their question on a card and give it to one of the chamber representatives that are in the audience. And I'm going to do my best to get a lot of these questions in. I don't think there's much of a way. We're going to try to go to about 10 of 7 tonight. I don't think there's much way we can get them all in. I'll group some. I will take some of the questions that we had and try to work them in with questions that were prepared for by the Governmental Affairs Committee. Keep in mind that this is not something that you would ask Mr. Miller or Mr. Brown a direct question. These questions will be presented to both candidates. And so we ask that the questions be general in nature and not addressed to an individual. As I explained to the candidates before the program, we've tweaked this a little bit. We're not having a fishbowl round. We only have 2 candidates tonight. We want to give each candidate a chance to answer all the questions that we present. So we're throwing out the round robin. What we're going to do instead is we're going to have an opportunity to have a rebuttal. And we did this during the city council race. It worked real well. It worked real well earlier this afternoon because those rebuttal cards were used very quickly in the clerk's race. But you have 2 cards there. They give you 30 seconds extension, or 30 seconds each for rebuttal. So after we've gone through the round of questions, if you would like to say something else, just hold that card up. Hold it up high so that I'll recognize it, and I'll try to get you. What we'll do is we'll do the rebuttal questions that way, and you have 60 seconds to answer each question. The rebuttal round is 30 seconds. We have also invited you, and both of you did so, to submit a question tonight. So I'll work those in during the questions as well, and at the end we will have 1-minute summations. We do have some rules of engagement. I would remind you that this is a forum and it's not a debate. That means that we want you to address the questions that we're asking to you and not address each other. We also ask that you adhere to the time limits, and I'm going to be strict about that. When you see a yellow light, that means you've got 15 seconds to go to end your response. When you see the red light, that means your time is up. So what I would ask that you do at that point is just simply complete your sentence and stop. Again, for the first question, we're going to ask each candidate to state their name, talk a little bit about who they are, where they live, and that pretty much sums up the rules. we're about ready to get started. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to address those now. Ready to go? All right. We're going to start with Mr. Brown, and just as I suggested, the first question is, please tell us something about yourself, where you reside, what your work experience is, and explain why you are running for the position of Onslow County Sheriff.
My name is Ed Brown. I live in the southwest Halls Run community. The reason I'm running for sheriff is to continue the good performance that we have, to continue to keep crime down, and to commit myself for 4 more years to serve the citizens of Onslow County in the way that I've served them for the last 23 years. And I am pleased to announce I'm pleased with the last 23 years performance of the Onslow County Sheriff's Office.
Mr. Miller.
My name is Hans Miller. I'm running to be your sheriff of Onslow County. I would like to thank you for being here because it shows that you care, and also those who are watching for us on television. I am a lifelong patriotic, conservative constitutionalist who has called to law enforcement a profession that I enjoy. I am a longtime Republican of many years. I'm running to serve all people without discrimination. My goal is to make positive change and make Onslow County a better place to live. My experience, I served my country 26 years. I served my state 12 years as an SBI agent, cross-sworn as a federal agent as well. And the last 5 years, I have served my county, Onslow County, as CSI and also as the airport police chief. I'm not a politician. I am a law enforcement officer. I'm a leader. Thank you again for being here.
Okay, thank you, candidates. And the first question from the candidates comes from Mr. Miller. It will be addressed first to Mr. Miller and then Mr. Brown. In the next 4 years, what would you accomplish with the Onslow County Sheriff's Office for the betterment of the people?
Mm-hmm. There's a long list of things that I want to accomplish, among them being revise outdated policies. Bring our sheriff's office, this is our sheriff's office, into the 21st century. Treat all employees and citizens fairly, without discrimination. No firing without justification. There will be a board of inquiry for any allegations where the truth will be found out. And then I will make a decision based on the recommendations of the board. No voter intimidation. We are citizens. We are allowed to vote for whoever we want to. And a vote is confidential. What happens inside the voting booth, nobody can tell you who to vote for. There will be no favoritism. Promotions will be based on achievement and merit, and it will be fairness without discrimination of any kind. Thank you.
Mr. Brown, I'm going to repeat that question. Again, it was posed by Mr. Miller. In the next 4 years, what would you accomplish with the Onslow County Sheriff's Office for the betterment of the people?
Well, to start out with, policy is continually changing. Right now, there's always someone assigned to developing the policy as times change. I must go back and tell the citizens of Onslow County and you folks that sat here, I've committed my time, my soul, my mind to serving the people of Onslow County. And as I know, it has been fair, it has been equal, it has been productive, crime is down. You can see by the attendance here tonight that people support what is going on at the Sheriff's Office. As far as changing things, I would just keep up with what's going on, or keep doing what I've been doing, getting the results that has been accomplished, and look forward to having those same results, crime lower again in the next 4 years as it is today.
Thank you, candidates. Okay, and the next question was posed by Mr. Brown, and you will get your first crack at your question.
Okay.
What would be your very first act implemented if elected sheriff?
The first thing I would do if elected sheriff is the first thing I've done since 1990, and that is get a commitment from every employee to a standard of values that are respectable for the society that we serve. Have that standard of values signed off, that the people that's going to work at the sheriff's office knows what the rules are, they will abide by the rules, and if they're willing to accept that, they've got a job now and they'll have a job then, but there's got to be a standard of values for any organization, especially when your organization is 270 people. So what would I do? First act I would do is get a commitment from every employee to serve and protect the citizens of Onslow County and stand responsible for that duty all the time while they're on duty and certain behaviors when they're off duty.
Mr. Miller, the question is, what would be your very first act implemented if elected sheriff?
I would have a meeting of all employees, and I would ask them to sign on to the oath of office that we all take, and also the law enforcement code of ethics, because a law enforcement officer is held to a higher standard. A detention officer is held to a higher standard. Everybody that works as a support staff in the sheriff's office is held to a higher standard. We are law-abiding. We are ethical in our day-to-day procedures. And if anybody is willing to sign on to the code of ethics and is willing to swear that oath to what I believe is a very important document, and that is the Constitution of the United States, it will be supported. No one's constitutional rights will be violated, and everybody's going to have a good place to work if they're willing to sign off.
Okay. Mr. Miller, you'll get the first crack at the next question, and I'm going to go ahead and go right straight to one of the questions that was submitted by the audience. And I'm going to combine two or three submissions here that under this general topic of leadership. The base question is this: effective leadership is of paramount importance for a law enforcement agency to be successful. What leadership style, qualities, and characteristics are critical in leading a law enforcement agency? And I would like to add that a couple of questions about what role religious beliefs would play in that.
I'll be glad to answer that question. Leadership must be persuasive. It should not be dictatorial. In other words, you train people, you surround yourself with good thinking people, you open the lines of communication, and then you lead people in the proper way that is lawful, that is ethical, and that is in accordance with policy. It takes more than one person to effectively lead a large organization. You have to delegate certain authorities. The responsibility remains at the top, but you delegate the authority, you allow people to make decisions appropriate to their level, as long as they keep you totally informed about what they do. So to find a circle of good subordinate leaders is good, and you keep the lines of communication open, and to keep your door open for people that want to share an issue with you, and listen to them. Listen to them and listen to the people that we serve, which is the people of Onslow County.
Mr. Brown, I'm going to repeat that question from the audience. The topic was leadership. Is effective leadership is of paramount importance for a law enforcement agency to be successful? What leadership style, qualities, and characteristics are critical in leading a successful law enforcement agency? And then I added a couple of questions here that was about, and I'm asking what role would religious beliefs play in that?
Well, I really believe religious belief or our faith in God is the core of who we are. That will be what you would base your leadership off of. You can't leave that out. And I would lead by examples as I have for the last 23 years. There's not a stranger in this room that is stranger to how my belief and how I conduct my life. So leadership has to be by example and not by command. And I have set that example for the last 23 years and am proud to say any act that I have done can be laid out in the middle of this audience for the examination of every citizen in here and every citizen in Onslow County. So therefore, leadership starts with a leader. Being a responsible leader, being a leader who can say no when no is the right answer and yes when yes is the right answer. But you cannot have leadership unless the leader, that person himself, has a core value that in God we trust, fair, honest, and equal treatment for everyone.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to stay on that topic since we've got a related question. do you feel, these are two questions I'm going to read from the audience. Do you feel that high moral standards are important to the job of sheriff or deputy sheriff? What is your opinion concerning the standards and conduct of law enforcement officers and detention officers as it relates to the community they serve? And then I'm going to add one more, we're talking about religion, because we kind of hit that subject, but the question here is, would you hire and fire based on religious beliefs? And I believe we start with Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir. Which one first?
You know what? I believe I got that wrong. I believe we start with Mr. Brown. And I apologize. You can answer, again, the questions, both questions relate to conduct of law enforcement officers, detention officers, as they relate to the community they serve. And again, do you feel that high moral standards are important to the job of sheriff or deputy sheriff? Or as a sheriff, would you hire or fire based on religious beliefs? Those are all kind of related. So just take those on.
Let me answer the last one first. I would not hire or fire anyone on religious beliefs. However, as I'll go back in the last question, core values are important. We are entrusted with the people's lives. We are entrusted with their property. And the integrity of the person who is entrusted with the delegacy of a person's life and family has to be above reproach. It has to be one that everyone is held responsible. But as far as firing anyone as a result of their religious belief, no. But when you're dealing with treatment and conduct in other matters, leaving religion out, it's got to be adhered to by the book in order to maintain the integrity of the organization that is called law enforcement and detention. We take an oath, and that oath is to protect and serve all people fair and equal. And I can say again, core values will determine the behavior of anyone you have employed, and the core values will be the issue and not the religious beliefs.
Mr. Miller, do you want me to repeat any of these questions? Or, and I apologize for the false start. It's actually harder to keep up with 2 candidates than it is sometimes 9. I don't know why, but I'm having trouble with that. But again, the general question was about moral values of the people that work for the sheriff's department. How do you feel high moral standards are important to the job of sheriff or deputy sheriff? What is your opinion concerning the standards and conduct of law enforcement officers and detention officers as it relates to the community they serve? And a little bit more specific on the question we had last time, but as a sheriff, would you hire or fire based on religious beliefs?
The moral values of every sworn law enforcement officer and also sworn detention officer and also the staff that works at the sheriff's office must be beyond reproach. Whether we must be law-abiding, we must be ethical in our everyday demeanor. We must be ethical, we must be honest, and one of my favorite sayings, and I mean that, is do the right thing even when nobody's watching. So yes, moral values are extremely important. Standards of conduct must be above reproach. Now, nobody is perfect. People sometimes commit minor violations. Okay, you deal with them in an appropriate manner, and then you say, forever sin no more. But the standards of conduct must be beyond reproach. And the last question, I would not hire or fire anyone based on their faith. I'm a Christian, but my faith is my faith.
Thanks, candidates. Mr. Miller, you will get the first one this time. And again, I'm going to try to stay on this topic together because it seems like there's a relation here. And I'll read the questions to you. As a sheriff, do you feel it is okay to check your employees' cell phones without a search warrant? Do you think employees' cell phones can be searched without a search warrant? So you can answer that one first.
The Constitution protects our privacy. It is important that, as I have carried my personal cell phone when I was on duty to call my wife, to call my children, that is a private means of communication unless no search should be done unreasonable without probable cause. We know that as law enforcement officer. And to collect everybody's cell phones, I think, was unconstitutional.
Mr. Brown?
There is a policy at the sheriff's office, and everyone is aware of the policy. I do believe that every employee who is on duty has a responsibility to the taxpayers who pay the bill. What they do on duty, even in our cell phones that we've issued, or the ones that they carry, must be adhered to the policy, and there is a policy. And if you've got a policy and they know the policy, that is understood before you ever start. So, yes, I do have a policy. We do adhere by the policy. We have laws that prohibit officers from carrying cell phones into jail. I mean, those laws prohibit the detention officers from providing those phones to the inmates. And there has been a dismissal because of that. But to just go and do that without having some basis to do it, no, it hasn't been ever done. But it's been done by policy, and it's been done because while you're on duty, you need to be doing the duties of the people.
Thank you, candidates. Not that it's a happy topic, but I'm going to move, and Mr. Brown, you'll have the next question.
Okay?
Yeah, move to the issue of drugs. Drugs continue to be a big concern in our county and all across the country. What can be done to stem the growing presence of such drugs as heroin and methamphetamines?
Well, heroin and methamphetamines are not the major drugs. Major drugs, Mr. Potter, is the illegal drugs that are gotten from the prescriptions that people visit the doctors with. That has taken over the illegal market of heroin and methamphetamines. In order for us, the law enforcement officers, to have a tool to bargain with, their laws must be stronger for those who sell drugs. And I'm talking about strong, long enough prison terms that it would discourage the sale and also will get rid of them so that we're not dealing with them every other year or every other week. Laws need to be stronger. We want to do more. We want to get rid of drugs. They're destroying our society. They're destroying our youth. They're destroying our county. They're destroying our America. And it's time for our society. No, don't just leave it on the law enforcement. We the people need to stand up and say we've had enough and take a hard stand and get some strong laws against drugs.
Mr. Miller, you mean to repeat the question?
Yeah, well, I would say to those who say that drugs are a victimless crime, I would say they're wrong. Drugs create victims, not only for the people that ingest the poisons into their system, but also the people around them. And I would say that we need to do more, and we do need to do it as a community. For us, for law enforcement, to partner with parents, with educators, with teachers, with business, and actually put our foot down and say the peddling of illegal drugs to our young people is going to stop. And I think in order to do that, we have to work together as law enforcement agencies. And one of my visions is to explore the possibility of a countywide drug task force where we work in concert with other law enforcement agencies, not only at the local level, but also at the state and the federal level. And let's put these drug dealers that poison our young people out of business.
Thank you, candidates. And now I'm going to ask Mr. Miller, you're next. And I'm going to go to an audience question here. There were two of these, and I'm going to combine them again. And it's basically about Community Watch. It has been stated that some citizens in Onslow County want to establish a Community Watch program. Will you support Community Watch programs? And if you do support them, how far are you willing to go to allow such groups to extend their authority?
I am absolutely, totally committed to we the people of this community to work with their law enforcement that serves them in Community Watch. What Community Watch does, you can't have a police officer and a deputy in every corner. We don't live in a police state. We don't want to live in a police state. We have to take the responsibility as a community where we walk the dog at night or maybe just walk around strolling in the neighborhood and have a cell phone. And when we see something suspicious, take notes. Okay, somebody may be looking to breaking in somewhere. Okay, take the notes, call law enforcement, let us investigate it. It could be something totally innocent, but absolutely, and I believe in training and working with the community and doing it properly and doing it with the lines of communication being open.
Mr. Brown, the question was, will you support community watch programs? If you do support community watch programs, how far are you willing to allow such groups to extend their authority?
First of all, I already support the Community Watch program. We have 16 meetings between now and in the middle of next month. We're very active in the Community Watch program. We want our citizens watching out for their neighbors. We are our brother's keepers, and we are very active in that. However, I do not discourage and will not even hint to the fact that I would like one of our citizens to leave their residence to go out in the community and create a Trayvon Martin situation like we had down in Florida. Call us if you see something. Don't go outside your house. The castle law protects you inside of your house by using force. It don't protect you outside of the house in the community by using force. And to go out in the community and the possibility of having the person that is out in the community armed and you not being armed, then we could be investigating a death where you didn't get a chance to make a phone call. So we do have an active community watch program, very active, and I'm pleased to announce that it is up and running with 16 meetings between now and the middle of next month. But no, I would not encourage a citizen to leave their residence to pursue any matter outside of the residence because it would be dangerous.
See how many questions I have on this one. Looks like I got at least 3, and Mr. Brown, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
And if it's okay, I'm going to ask this the way I worded it. What do you see as the proper use of polygraphs in criminal investigations? And specifically address, and that's what these questions address, if you will, the role of polygraphs in investigations of sexual assaults.
First of all, I would say that the polygraph is an investigative tool. And the polygraph, if you want to be more specific, I prefer you to be specific because you're hitting this thing kind of broad. It is an investigative tool, and that's as far as I can answer that question. It's an investigative tool.
Let me go back then. I will go back to the specific questions. If we got 30 seconds here. What about what's the current policy of the Sheriff's Department is to ask a sexual assault victim to take a polygraph test? Would that be a policy that you would continue?
That won't continue. It's not a policy to start with, Mr. Potter. It's not one to be continued. That accusation has come up for the last 3 elections, and people like to throw it out there to muddy the water. There is no such policy, and so to say what is my policy, and that would be there is no such policy, but it is an investigative tool if you want to address what the polygraph is used for.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
I understand the science of polygraphy. It basically measures blood pressure, galvanic response, and the polygraph is a good investigative tool. But if a victim of a crime were to be asked to go into a small closed room after she or he, in some cases, is emotional and has just been victimized, and then to open the wounds of victimization again, I think is totally improper, and it's a misuse of a polygraph machine. Regardless of the skill of the polygrapher, that victim is not going to send, you don't have control of your body signals. So I would say absolutely no re-victimization of victims, whether they be rape victims or child victims of abuse. Not on my watch.
Okay. Thank you, candidates. Mr. Miller, we're going to start with you this time. This is another question from the audience. Are you willing to join and this person says there are 483 sheriffs nationwide that have signed a pledge to defend our Second Amendment rights from unconstitutional gun control measures. Are you willing to join that effort?
It's a very easy question for me to answer. I believe in this document, which is the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights. The Second Amendment allows every citizen it's a God-given right. It's given to us by the Creator. And the Second Amendment prevents the government from taking that right away. I absolutely am a pro-constitutional, pro-Second Amendment, and I've been carrying a firearm for the last 30-some years, as long as it's carried lawfully and properly for protection. Yes, I will support the Second Amendment. I'm a lifetime NRA member. I'm also a member of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, and I signed the pledge to absolutely support the Second Amendment.
Mr. Brown,
Yes, sir.
are you willing to join the sheriffs nationwide that have signed a pledge to defend our Second Amendment rights from unconstitutional gun control measures?
I have signed an oath of office 6 times, pledging to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I am bound by that oath from the first time in 1990. I'm bound by that oath when I took it in 94, 98, 2002. So, yes, I am already under oath to protect the Constitution of the United States by a swearing to the oath 6 times. So, one more time would make a difference. I've already done it 6 times.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, candidates. Okay, Mr. Brown, I believe you got the next one.
Okay.
I'm firing them at you guys. I hope it's okay. In addition to violent crimes and drugs, property crimes are a leading concern for many county residents, especially those who have fallen victim. What ideas do you have for cutting down on the incidences of property crimes?
I am pleased to announce that Onslow County's record for the latest report that Onslow County is down 25% in violent crimes. That Onslow County is also down 50% below the state and national average. What we're going to do is keep on fighting crime. We're going to keep on seeking those who break the law. We're going to keep on arresting those who break the law. We're going to keep on putting those in jail that break the law, and hope that they don't keep spinning the door with their getting in and getting out. So we're going to keep on working on reducing crime in Onslow County like we have for the last 23 years. And the results is 25% below now what it used to be and 50% below what the state and national average is. I'm pleased to announce to Onslow County, we're not stopping, we're not letting up. We're going to keep on being out there, protecting their property, protecting them, and doing what we should be doing, responsible for the citizens of Onslow County.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
I believe it takes a partnership with the citizens that are represented here and also on TV for law enforcement officers to work closely in their community, to become known, to become trusted, to have citizens look out for their neighbors. When the neighbors are gone shopping and somebody comes, look out for yourself. And then have those partnerships staying alive by communicating with the citizens. But also it requires more than that. It requires cooperation between law enforcement agencies. Onslow County is served by good police officers and municipal police departments. And in order to reduce crime rates, we need cooperation. We need to be able to form task forces where we work together as a team and share resources and share manpower and share experience. The Violent Crime Task Force is a good example of that. All the area police chiefs have signed on to the Violent Crime Task Force. The special agent in charge of the SBI and special agent in charge of NCIS have signed on to the Violent Crime Task Force. This is what is needed, cooperation and partnerships with the people that serve.
Okay. I want to switch now over to, Mr. Brown, did you have anything else to add on that? Okay, you're good. Okay.
Let me use 30 seconds on that.
Okay.
If a check were done today of the Onslow County Sheriff's Office, it will see that we serve Swansboro, North Topsail. We have a violent crime task force, and it's called the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. We have the facility, we have the equipment, we have the trained officers. Our officers are trained in the equivalent of the state SBI, crime lab. And we solving crimes, and we are doing it as a result of just, that's our job. Onslow County is Onslow County, and all agencies in Onslow County fall into our jurisdiction. We are not selfish, we share, and we help other people solve their own crimes without, as it is right at this present moment.
Okay, Mr. Miller, you get first crack at the next question. This past Saturday, this submission, this participant writes, there was a traffic enforcement checkpoint on Highway 17. It involved a large number of agencies, Wilmington PD, Surf City, Holly Ridge, JPD, and the Highway Patrol, drug arrest, some felonies, DWIs. And the question is, what is your position regarding Onslow County Sheriff's deputies participating in these kind of efforts to keep our community safe? And I'm going to go a little bit further with that and say, what about the use of, to what extent do you think the Sheriff's Office should be involved in the enforcement of traffic laws on the roads?
This requires a lot of answers, but did you purposely leave out the sheriff's office at the checkpoint?
I can't vouch for that, whether or not maybe Mr. Brown, when he gets his turn, he can answer that.
I think a checkpoint...
It was not on this card.
A checkpoint must be conducted in a legal and lawful manner. It's a minor delay because driving a vehicle is a privilege. There's no doubt that Jacksonville Police Department, the State Highway Patrol, they're doing a good job with keeping our people safe, keeping our youth safe. But under my watch, we will participate in checkpoints as long as they're done properly and legally. We will be there and will assist. We will cooperate. We will participate in checkpoints as long as they're done lawfully and constitutionally.
Mr. Brown.
We already participate in checkpoints. I don't know who left that out or where it was left out for purpose. We already participate. Matter of fact, we gain certain equipment from the governor's crime control and public safety by participating in these checkpoints. We do so many, that gives us points, and the points gives us equipment that we can ask for. We do traffic violations. However, we are actively participating in that. Matter of fact, probably the checkpoint you're talking about, my son, who is in law enforcement also, came all the way from Raleigh to participate in it. Law enforcement, let's get the message across. The law enforcement agencies in North Carolina, including Onslow County, Jacksonville, Swansboro, Sneed Ferry, Richlands, and all that, are a team. It is a team. We work together. It's not about this is my job and this is your job. I can assure you, citizens of Onslow County, you are living in a safe county because your law enforcement agencies are working together for the benefit of your safety and security. And it's not about the title or the color of the shirt or uniform or the title of your office. It's about protecting and serving the citizens of Onslow County.
We will, I'm going to stay on that topic. What are areas that you feel are ripe for expanded cooperation between area law enforcement agencies? And is there any downside to such cooperation? Mr. Brown, you're first, I believe.
What areas? There is no area left out for the sheriff's office. Matter of fact, they had a double murder down in North Topsail. We had officers on the scene there, 9 officers on the scene within 30, 40 minutes. Swansboro had their murder down. We were there with our crime lab. The sheriff's office is highly skilled, highly trained, highly equipped, that we can handle matters that used to we had to wait on the SBI to handle. Now we don't have to wait. We have those officers and facility trained, and like I said a while ago, we share. If we've got it and we're going to share it, we're going to offer it. If they reject it, that's one thing. But we're going to be there to give it to them if they need it, to be there. Like Jones County, we went right across the line with this last murder they had. We were there and processed the crime scene for them. So, again, what areas? There's no area left out. We're like children. There's no child left behind. There's no agency left out when it comes to getting the service of the Onslow County Sheriff's Office in this county.
Mr. Miller?
Mr. Potter, the question again, please.
Yeah, the question is about what are the areas that you feel are ripe for expanded cooperation between area law enforcement agencies? Mr. Brown answered that in a geographic way. You can answer it in any way you'd like. Is there a downside to such cooperation?
I don't see a downside as long as all law enforcement agencies do it properly. In other words, this is what chiefs and sheriffs sit down and agree on and do a memorandum of understanding. And I'll give you a perfect example of something that needs more attention is we now have a road carnage out in the county of Onslow County because we don't have enough traffic law enforcement. Now, traffic law enforcement doesn't mean you write a ticket every time. You can write warning tickets, but that person may be able to slow down or maybe not tailgate or maybe do not aggressively driving. The Highway Patrol does an excellent job. They're very good at what they do. There is not enough troopers out there in the county. We need to take a look at the Governor's Highway Safety Commission and possibly look at for a grant that will give us additional deputies for you, the people.
Okay, we're going to go to Mr. Miller. You'll be first on this one. What emerging technologies can the Sheriff's Office put to good use in solving crimes and protecting the citizens?
Technology is here to stay. I believe in technology. We're not going to... Technology also enables people to commit crime, and that's why mutual education is important for us to go out into the community and let them know about how their credit cards can be compromised. I've had somebody report to me where their credit card was used in Texas. They've never been to Texas before. You know, the technology is there to stay, but I think also technology can be used for good. For instance, if we have cameras that are connected by the internet to high traffic areas and there's a robbery somewhere, we might be able to get some investigative leads and having that camera and play back that area, that high traffic area, and find out who did it. So technology is good.
Mr. Brown?
We already have the technology. We can sit at our office and watch the inside of a building. We can watch a community. We're already using it. We have it. We don't announce it because we don't want the criminals to know where they're at. But I did bring tonight, and I've got another 100 here. It's impossible for me to sit here and tell you all that we are and all that we have and all the technology we have. So there's been a documentary. It takes about 3 hours to watch it. It's menued out. So if you're interested in CSI, if you're into technology, understanding that, and if you just allow me, this is the magnitude of what you've got serving in Onslow County. That is 278 people minus 30 that were on duty couldn't be there in that picture. We are not a little one-horse town sheriff's office. You are an uptown sheriff's office with the technology necessary to handle and reduce the crime, and we're reducing crime with that technology. So he would have technology, we've got technology. And sometimes people don't know all the things we got because we can't sit down and tell you everything because it's so great. But if you're interested, I'll be glad to provide anybody who would like to see how great their sheriff's office is a copy of this CD. It documents and it just goes to show you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Would you say the county has, Mr. Brown, this is your turn to go first, and we're going to kind of stay on that topic.
Okay.
Would you say the county has an adequate number of deputies on patrol? What specifically can be done to ensure the county has the right number?
Well, we have probably at one given time, there could be as many as 15 officers out there in the county, whether it be narcotic officers, whether it be civil officers, patrol officers, and other officers that may be there. Understanding that taxpayers pay the bill. You want a sufficient amount of persons on the road to protect and serve them, and they don't mind paying the bill. But understand that government functions off the tax dollars. What we need, we can go to the commissioners. This has been the case for 23 years. The commissioners of this county that I've worked with for 23 years have been as concerned about the public safety of this county as anyone I know. So where there's a need, they will provide it. And that would be nice to have officers that you'd have 5 or 6 on a barking dog complaint, but then again, the taxpayers are the one that have to pay the bill. We do have the officers necessary. We are reducing crime, and I think that's a prime example that our response time in Sneed Ferry, for example, is 11 minutes. A recent bank robbery was there in 2 minutes. Officers are where you don't know where they're at because they're doing different functions, but as far as patrol, their jobs are to be out there and patrol in your communities and your businesses.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is going to be a little bit away from crime for change. I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, did I drop it? Did I do that again?
Nobody's perfect, Mr. Blair.
Well, you know, and I certainly am not. And,
Yeah.
And I apologize and go to you for that question.
Yeah.
Specifically, would you say, and thanks to the audience for that, would you say the county has an adequate number of deputies on patrol?
Mm-hmm.
What specifically can be done to ensure the county has the right number?
It requires a study to find out when most of the calls are coming in and to make sure. I have a vision to take the county and to create a zone, a patrol zone. And I'm looking at 4 different zones, and I will tell you at the beginning that the zones will be Stump Sound, Sneeds Ferry, Hollow Ridge, Folkestone area. Make that a patrol zone. Greater Richlands and Back Swamp, Comfort, make that a patrol zone. 9 Mile, Southwest, Harris Creek, Verona, make that a patrol zone. And then the Greater Swansboro and Hubert and Belgrade area, make that a patrol zones, and then semi-permanently put deputies in that area where they get to know the people of the area, the roads of the area, where they come totally comfortable, where they know what's going on in the area. It is important for us to reduce the response time of Onslow County Sheriffs, because when the citizen needs you right now.
Thank you. And Mr. Brown has a rebuttal.
It's called zones by him, but it's called areas by the sheriff's office at the present. That is already in motion, has been in motion since Mr. Bill Woodward and Thomas Marshall. It's called area deputies. The area deputies work that area, they're assigned to that area, they get a chance to meet and greet the people they serve. So you call it zone or call it area deputy, it's been the practice going on now for about 50 years.
Okay. Let's talk about, again, I'll go back again, Mr. Miller, you're first this time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about the budget and what are some of the priorities that you would place in the budget? Which items in the budget do you see needing additional funding, and are there something maybe that could be cut back? And that's basically the question.
Yeah.
What kind of stewardship of the taxpayers' money do you recommend?
And it's a very good question, because taxpayer money, nobody likes to be overtaxed. Taxpayer money must be evaluated and spent properly and not overspent. So I would say that let's figure out what the priorities are for that time period, and then let's put the resources where they need to go. If there are savings, those savings should be put back into the general fund. I think maybe as an example, and there are many examples, but I would say a regular car rotation program, because we spend a lot of money on vehicle maintenance because of the high mileage of our vehicles. If we had a regular rotation program, then that may save the county some money in the future.
Mr. Brown, the question's about stewardship of taxpayers' money and how your handling of the budget. What do you see as areas that could use additional funding? Are there any ways to peel back any expense?
Well, we do. In the vehicle assignments, the new vehicles are assigned to the emergency patrol units. Decals are removed from them and assigned to non-emergency type personnel. And we do have a program started about 18 years ago in which they were going to buy 25 cars a year to replace each year. We saved about $3 million on that program by using the cars that have been with high mileage on them for the investigators and non-emergency type personnel, and using the new cars for the deputies that are going to be out there responding to the calls. I'll give you, for instance, just challenging the other day, increase at the food services in the jail saved the taxpayers $70,000 just by challenge. When I started in 1990, first thing that I'm proud of, and that is being a good steward of the tax dollars. You bid buy, you check every purchase you make to make sure you can get the best price for that. And I've got officers here that you won't let them answer, but if there's something we need, we got it. But we don't do a Christmas shoplift. We do if you need it to serve the people and protect the people, let's get it. So we don't do what you want, we do what you need.
Okay? Mr. Brown, what do you feel are the best practices for hiring and retaining qualified personnel in the Onslow County Sheriff's Office?
The best practice is, first of all, you've got to look at the quality of person. We are regulated by sheriff's training and standards, and this is probably something the general public don't know. Sheriff's training and standards more or less tells you that this person will pass and be certified by them if you hire it. So we look for the quality of person. We look for the core value of the person. And I applaud the commissioners recently in their readjustment of the pay grades and the fact that they have made it more attractive for people to stay that are on the sheriff's office and detention center, and it made it more attractive for people to become a part of the sheriff's office and detention center. But the core thing is values. Core thing is that person qualified? Is that person of character enough to be trusted with the citizens and the duties that we are entrusted with to protect and serve the citizens? But and the retention rate is much greater than other areas around us. But now it'll be even better since our commissioners have stepped up and readjusted the pay grades.
Mr. Miller, what do you feel are best practices for hiring and retaining qualified personnel in the Onslow County Sheriff's Department?
You have to recruit only the best qualified, and then after you recruit them, then you train them, and then you promote them based on their individual merit, and treat them fairly, and continue the training throughout their career, and stay connected with the people that you serve, and make sure that the policies are fair, and make sure that the policies are doable, and then the people will want to stay. They want to work in a place where they can come to work and perform their duties and go home and actually feel like they've done a good job for the people and be proud of where they work. And it's that kind of culture that is needed in every organization, whether it's a business or whether it's a public organization. It's the leadership that people are going to be proud to work in that area, so the retention will be supported.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, I'm going to start this question with you. It is a bit personal in nature, but I'm going to apply it to both candidates as this participant did. Does either candidate feel they have any health conditions that could affect their job performance?
No, I'm fully qualified to be a law enforcement officer, and as you may know, I may have had a hospitalization in my past. I followed the medical protocol, and for those who are concerned about that, I am fully qualified, all law enforcement duties by doctors. My heart is working, my brain is working, all my bones are working, my body is working. I'm ready to work for you, the people.
Mr. Brown, what about you? Do you feel like you have any health conditions that could affect your job performance?
No, sir, I do not. If it matters, I did press 514 pounds the other day at the gym.
Here's another reader submitted, again, reader submitted, I'm hung up on readers, I love them. Onslow County has a problem when it comes to molested and abused children. What will you do to ensure that all reports, or what can you do as sheriff to ensure that all reports are thoroughly investigated?
I would hate to think that I got an organization that was not going on at this time. Responsible reporting to myself, I got qualified, and I got folks working in assigned areas in investigations that have the compassion and also the commitment that when that kind of call comes in, they are unrelinquished in getting the job done. In other words, I can not see any officer of the law, regardless of where that officer works for me or anyone else. That crime happens, in my office, it better be investigated and thoroughly investigated.
Mr. Miller?
Child abuse and child sexual abuse is a horrendous crime, and it takes not only law enforcement, but it takes a team to build a good case. It takes the medical personnel, it takes social services, it takes the district attorney's office to be involved. We call that a multidisciplinary team. It takes all of us with different skills to bring to the table and to have that child particularly interviewed and not re-victimized. And that's where a forensic interview is very important. And for that, we have in this town a Child Advocacy Center, the CAC. The Child Advocacy Center does a super job of getting good evidence to figure out whether a crime occurred, and if the crime did occur, then present it to the district attorney for prosecution. And you may see right here on my lapel, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They are a team to keeping our children safe.
Thank you, thank you, candidates. Let me ask you this question. Not related specifically, but along those lines. North Carolina has one of the highest rates of human trafficking. What could be done to address that issue right here in Onslow County? Mr. Miller.
We have, again, to stay connected with the community, to let the citizens know that they are trusted to provide us information when they see something suspicious. Please let your law enforcement agencies know what you see. Let us investigate it. If it's, maybe just looks suspicious and it's okay, that's fine. But at least we have that information. We need to connect to the people of Onslow County, and I actually do have a vision to have town hall meetings 4 times a year in those 4 areas that I already specified, and let people from all over the county come together and tell us where the breaking and enterings, where are the things like human trafficking is a horrendous crime. When I was with the SBI, I was involved in some of those cases in an adjoining county, which I won't name. It's a terrible thing. Our children must be protected.
Mr. Brown?
Don't know the answer to the issue because it is a major problem all over the world. However, in intelligence gathering that you'll get from your investigators, your narcotic officers, and developing informants that are out there where it's going on, many of our citizens are not aware of the trafficking problem involving youth and adults, not just our youth, but adults. The issue that I think is getting intelligence from the underground source and also following up on that like you would be narcotics. That is a major problem in our state and our nation. But intelligence gathering from your undercover officers and your investigators in narcotics would be one of the methods that I would think would be necessary in order to learn about this. And most of the time when you catch one person, they've got other people attached to it, so you solve more crimes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have 2 more questions, They're kind of related, but then again, maybe they're not. But I'm going to ask the first one, which would be, and this is for Mr. Brown to start with, what are the kinds of services that the county sheriff's office can and should provide to municipal residents who provide funds for a substantial portion of the department's budget?
We already provide the services, Mr. Potter. We, like I said, Onslow County, every agency in Onslow County, every citizen in Onslow County is a resident. They're not, you don't look at it as you live in this district or you live in that district. We have and do what is necessary wherever the crime takes place, regardless of where the citizen's at or whether they pay taxes or not. It's about service. It's not about districts. It's not about taxpayers. We're doing that. I mean, it's no way of getting around it. We're there. Like the thing I told you, North Topsville, 9 officers were there. Sneed Ferry had 15 officers there. We even went across the county line to help Jones County. We are eager, and I want every citizen to understand, it doesn't matter where you live in Onslow County, you are our concern. You are our key focus point of your public safety, and we're going to be there regardless of where you live, or whether you think you're a taxpayer or not. Call us if you need us, and we'll be there when you don't need us, in case you got something we know about.
Okay, Mr. Miller? What are the kinds of services that the county sheriff's office can and should provide to municipal residents who provide funds for a substantial portion of the department's budget?
Absolutely. Work with their law enforcement agencies, that all the police agencies for those municipalities, we need to be a partner and we need to form partnerships with them. But also, better protection of children is necessary, both online and in person, and to go out and protect the children of entire county from internet predators. One of the visions I have is to join the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which I served with in the past, and make that a part of the sheriff's office to protect our children from internet predators, regardless of where they live in Onslow County. Support other agencies, our CAC, our Child Advocacy Center, our Social Services, our Health Department. All the county agencies serve the entire county. Let's work with them, let's form partnerships, let's cooperate and participate with them. And many, many more things. I'm out of time.
Okay. Well, you can almost continue it if you want to with this train of thought, which takes it from a different angle. With the increasing growth in the unincorporated areas, what will you do to increase law enforcement there?
We have to evaluate where the need exists. So let's find out where the calls are coming from, and that's also, let's find out where the breaking and enterings are going on. Who steals from the construction areas, who steals copper, and then put maybe some unmarked deputies out there to do some surveillance and find out who's doing it and catch them in the act, okay? Those are the things that we need to do, but we have to evaluate where the crimes are occurring. But also, I really want to emphasize the fact that we need to stay connected with the people, the taxpayers of Onslow County, because they're the ones who want us there, and we need to make sure that they want us there because we're going to provide a good service for them. So, yes, let's do a study, and let's put the assets where they need to go with the lowest possible cost to the taxpayer.
Mr. Brown?
At the present time, as I mentioned technology a few minutes ago, we have the capability to be watching a community without anyone even know we're watching. We have the capability to be sitting at the office watching that community. Officers that are assigned to the communities have the technology, they have the same abilities in that car. It's like a mobile office. The MDTs and all the other equipment, the printers and everything that's in there. We call it hotspots, and we target those hotspots with concentrated enforcement. But we also target those hotspots with technology of camera surveillance, and that way we can have one officer doing what many officers are doing by watching the community. the technology sometimes that we have today is an advantage that the taxpayer don't have to pay an officer $25 an hour when the camera sat there and watch it with one officer instead of having 5 or 6 officers in the community. So by utilizing the technology that is available to us,
Okay,
we can do that.
Okay. Candidates, thank you so much for answering these questions. I really appreciate it. We're going to move on to the summations. Mr. Brown, you'll be first.
First of all, hard to sum up and tell you because I don't want to think I'm targeting anybody, but a lot of things has been said we're already doing. A lot of things we already is there. I don't think you could say that we have reduced crime like we've reduced it by being slack about what we do. I really would encourage any citizen, all citizens viewing out in the audience tonight, or also those that may be watching G10 or watching, contact us. We will put this in your hand. We want you to know how much technology and how much there is involved for protecting and serving you. It's hard to sit here and tell you all the things that we're doing because time won't allow it. My position in this is 23 years, no need to use the bomb squad. 23 years, no need to use the trained SWAT team of the Sheriff's Office. 23 years, no civil unrest. 23 years.
Thank you.
Okay, of peace.
Mr. Miller.
The accomplishments that I would like to do for you, the people. First of all, work closely with our county school system to protect our children from crime, from violence, from bullying. Let's form a partnership with the school, with the educators, okay? And let's come out with a policy. Reduce the response times by creating patrol zones, which was already addressed before. I want to change the culture of the Onslow County Sheriff's Office to make sure that the people are going to be glad to work there as long as they're honorable, ethical, law-abiding, and do the right thing even when nobody is watching. And increase the morale of the sheriff's office as well, because I want to be approachable. Somebody comes up to me and says, well, I think I messed up. Sit down, listen, I may have put myself in that same position. I may have done the same thing. At the end, say, okay, thank you for being honest. And many more things to do.
Thank you. Okay. We covered a lot of ground with a lot of questions. And our timekeeper over here, Christina Fernandez from the Chamber, was, unlike me, infallible in that, and she really kept up well with it. But I also want to thank the audience who did their job right to the T of clapping at the end, which was great for me. And but I thought that, whenever I came here today, somebody says, well, this might be a rough crowd, and it didn't turn out that way. And we really appreciate it.
Let me give you one of those.
Well done. Good job. Mr. Ed Brown and Mr. Hans Miller, thank you very much for being here with us this evening. It gives us and our entire community a chance to know you better and to hear your voice on several issues. Thank you. I'd like to offer a special thank you to our forum coordinator, Janet Bowen, at the door. She works with she's Chamber Director of Operations and oversees the Governmental Affairs Committee, of which I am the chair. She does a fabulous job, always. Thank you very much. Thank you again to our sponsor this evening, Duke Energy Progress, our media sponsor, the Daily News, the City of Jacksonville for the use of these facilities, City of Jacksonville Media Services for recording them, and for every single one of you who are here or watching by television for paying attention to the important issues in our community and watching so that you can learn about the candidates. Please join us for our next two forums. They will be involving candidates for the Onslow County Board of Education and candidates for the House of Representatives in Districts 14 and 15. This concludes this evening's program. Thank you for joining us.